friends. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to have a conversation with Mr. Donovan Sharpe. I would love to introduce you to him. And he is the founder of the Conference of Masculine Excellence. And as I told him before we started, this is not an opportunity for me to do gotcha questions. I will be honest. There's no such thing as trapping people. But I believe this might be the fifth time, Donovan, that you and I have done this kind of thing. We've talked a lot off camera over the years, but I think we've logged probably 4 or 5 conversations on camera like this.
Yeah, I think it probably is number 4 or 5. I'm sure there's one that you and I are forgetting. Incidentally enough, this is actually the very first conversation I've had with you on your channel. You have a huge following, and so listen, man, thanks for having me. I'm not sure if you're familiar, if your audience is familiar with who I am, but if they're not, hopefully they'll sort of get some perspective. I have evolved over the years. I used to be kind of a hothead. I still kind of am. I have much better control of it now. So
it's funny that you say that, because I remember being on some broadcasts probably a few years ago where same thing. I got all hot, got loud and things like that. And I think my style has changed a little bit as I have evolved as well. So welcome to the more evolved world.
Well, and we all grow, right? We mature. No matter how old you get, you're always maturing. But I think what comes with being able to mature is having a level of self-awareness. I'm self-aware enough to understand that because I was essentially raised by a single mother, that I am quick to emotion. I didn't learn emotional mastery because my father was never really, like, he was there in the house. He didn't really pay attention to us. So everything I learned about social dynamics and life and how to handle things and how to talk and how to react came from my mother, who is a woman. Now, this does not absolve me of the things I have done when my temper gets the better of me. I'm a grown man. I've made decisions. I've done some pretty messed up things. I paid the price. But I think being self-aware enough to understand where your weaknesses and where your frailties are, also knowing why that is, knowing what one of the factors were, I think that really does help. So it's taken me, good Lord, it's taken me 43 years to finally maybe get a hold of my emotions a little bit, and really just act like a man should.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to ask you some questions, and they're certainly not meant to put you on the hot seat. And like I said, it's not a gotcha game or corner you. It's not an interrogation. But I am happy to be part of this conference of Masculine Excellence.
We're happy
but
to
I have
you,
a question for you. There's a lot of conferences out there. When I literally just Googled men's conferences, what I came up with was the Florida Convention, the RSD week-long summit.
Yeah.
Rule Zero has some type of gathering online. I don't know if they're going to end up having it in person. There's the Builders Summit, which I was part of. There's one in Atlanta called Menfluential, and that's fitness and style. There's Man Up Philly, Catholic Men of Christ. There's the Ignite Men's Weekend, and I'm just reading these off. There's Iron Sharpens Iron out in Lancaster. There's the Strong Men's Conference. There's one called the Wilds, Unshakable, the Pack, for men who are usually the lone wolf. There's Men on Fire. The list goes on and on. Why another men's conference?
Well, I'll tell you what, I had no idea that most of those conferences existed. I knew about the first 3, the RSD guys. I guess they're sort of changing lanes, going from the weekend boot camp to the week-long, I guess, summits, which is probably something they should be doing anyway. But the reason why I'm doing this men's conference is because there needs to be a conference that comes at life, comes at masculinity from a red pill point of view. I'm sure all of the other conferences that I didn't know about are absolutely helpful and essential to men. There is no doubt about it. Men need each other, and we need to be able to, just like that one, iron sharpens iron, that is 100% certain. But even though I'm not there or familiar with their message or itinerary, there is a better than average possibility that these guys don't talk about things from a red pill perspective. And this isn't to say they don't help, but we're the guys that are telling you, hey man, like, don't buy a woman flowers if she doesn't deserve it, right? This doesn't mean we hate women. We're telling you guys, our message is, listen, women are great and we want women, but they're not essential to your happiness. Yes, they can certainly add to your life, but a woman is not essential to your happiness. A long time ago, there was a movie, 96, Jerry Maguire, and everyone knows the line of lines, "You complete me." And
You
as
complete me.
right, as romantic and everything as romantic as it sounds on the screen, it's just not what women want to hear it. They want to hear that stuff, but they don't need to, because when a woman thinks that her presence completes a man, that subconsciously causes her to lose attraction. But all of these other men's conferences, why this one is because we are the conference that's going to tell men the real truth about what's really going on. Those other conferences, I'm sure they touch on many different things, but our conference is going to have a red pill core. We're not worshiping women. We're not saying, well, oh my God, you're going to sleep in the doghouse or anything. No. We're saying, listen, you got to be a man. Men lead and women follow, and we don't care what anybody at the outside world says. Men need conferences, but they absolutely need a red pill conference, and this is what the CME aims to do.
I like that. For my audience, Donovan and I met at a conference.
Yes, we did.
That's how we met. So conferences are a good thing.
Yes,
when I look at most men's lives, if most men made a timeline of their lives, you're going to see, like, I graduated from high school, went to college, I met Sally, broke up with Sally, I'm now with Diane. And along most adult men's timelines are going to be things like career, education, and women. And a lot of those women points on the timeline aren't always positive. Very few men meet their childhood sweetheart, get married, and are married for 40 years. I only know a handful of guys that have done that and are happy. The rest of the guys have stories.
Wow.
But what happens is a lot of guys keep getting into the same predicament over and over and over. And then they just throw their hands up in the air and they say, forget it, forget women. They're nothing but trouble. Yeah. We're not doing that, are we?
No way. And I can certainly understand the frustration that comes with being taken advantage of by women. I can understand the frustration that comes with, no matter what you do, no matter how well you treat women, they always end up crapping on you and then landing on their feet on the other side, leaving you devastated, a lot of times financially devastated. I think that, and again, a lot of the reputation that a lot of the lower angry guys have is well earned. You should see their message boards and Reddit. Repeal the 19th Amendment. That's never going to happen. Women are nothing, this and that and the other. We don't need women, this and that. And I understand where their frustration comes. We're not about that. We're not going to make any bones about the fact that while we understand that women are not, necessary for a man's overall contentment, we're also going to say, listen, we want women. We are going to pursue them if the situation warrants it. And for me, it's about risk tolerance versus risk aversion. And I think guys like myself, and I had to learn this the hard way. Coach Greg Adams, who is going to be a speaker at the CME, I remember we didn't even have a disagreement. One of his chatters a person who watched his videos came over to my channel, and I was doing a live stream about the fact that the Army was concerned about when the movie Joker came out, because the archetype that Joker is kind of down on his luck. The whole world craps on him. Nobody cares about him. They pick on him. They make fun of him. And all of a sudden, Joker goes on a killing spree. Well, if we go all the way back to 1999, the Columbine shooting, which was the first, I guess, publicized mass shooting in American history, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold sort of followed that same archetype. Now, Eric Harris was a little more gregarious, and, of course, the media sensationalized it, but Dylan Klebold was absolutely that archetype. He was the Joker archetype. And so the Army chimed in an article and said, hey, when this movie Joker comes out, we're concerned that a lot of these quote-unquote incels might end up like Elliot Rodger. The Isla Vista killings, Alec Manassian up there in Toronto, Canada, Sung-Wee Cho out at Virginia Tech. And so I sort of went in on these guys. Listen, man up, you got to do this. And if you're a MGTOW, blah, 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 blah. He went back and he told Coach Greg Adams, and Greg Adams responded to it. And I was like, why would that guy tell Coach Greg Adams that I'm talking about MGTOWs? Well, at the time, Coach Greg Adams identified as a MGTOW. And I said to myself, that dude is a MGTOW? And so I reached out to him personally. I said, look, man, we need to talk this out, because clearly there's a miscommunication, or clearly there's something about this philosophy, this line of thinking, this way of living that I'm missing. In the end, when all the dust settled, the one poignant moment of that entire live stream was when he said to me, he's like, well, Donovan, you've been married, right? You've been married with kids, right? That's when it hit me, George. I said, oh, I understand. Coach Greg Adams thought that I had not. Coach Greg Adams thought that I had been through what he had gone through. And I'll say it like this. I've been through a lot with women. Oh my God, dude, most people know my story. I have made terrible decisions with women. I've been in really, really messed up situations with women. However, I don't have the same scars as most of the guys who find this community do. Yes, I've been through it with women, but I don't have any of the residual scars that come with it other than my knowledge. I'm not paying child support. I don't have any kids that I know of. I'm not paying alimony. I didn't get divorced EPARD spelled backwards. But most men have been through the divorce mill. Most men have lost their children. Most men are paying exorbitant amounts in child support fees and alimony, and their women and their ex-wives continue to take them to court to sort of grind them into a fine powder. So that comes back to risk aversion versus risk tolerant. I'm a lot more risk tolerant because I haven't really suffered. I don't get me wrong, I've suffered at the hands of women, but not to the degree that most men are. And I think that's what a lot of people have to sort of understand about me. I am in a cohabitating relationship with a woman. I would not advise any man to do that unless there are certain things in place. Not to put myself up on a pedestal here, but the reason I can pull it off, at least for now, is because I'm me. I know exactly what to do. I have legal things in place to make sure that if anything happens, I'm not going to lose a dime. I put everything in place, and I've sort of mitigated my risk. That being said, George, there is still an inherent risk that comes with being in a cohabitating relationship with a woman. And had I been through the divorce mill, had I lost kids and child support and alimony, this relationship probably wouldn't be where it is. So I'm a little more risk tolerant with my message. Most guys in our community are a little bit more risk averse.
Yeah. And may I say, I met your woman, and she was so kind, and so hospitable, and
she's a good woman, man. She's very, very useful. She handles all of my SEO, but she's kind to a fault. She really is. And that's, to be honest with you, that's what I like the most about her. She doesn't have this underlying, attitude problem. Yes, she has issues like most women. She is a human being. But what drew me to her, I mean, I don't want to get too much into it because there's a lot that went into getting to where we are now. But the one trait that the trait that I love the most about her, other than the way she looks, is that she's genuinely a kind person. She really cares about people. And that to me, that intoxicates a man, like true femininity, a woman who really just wants to help with no strings attached. It's a thing of beauty, man.
Yeah. As with most couples, I really wish the best for you guys. Definitely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, in sales training many years ago, I learned you talk about, when you're selling something, you talk about the features and the benefits, whether you're selling a home, whether you're selling cars or courses or whatever. And then I took a sales training about 20 years after that, and it was the most revolutionary sales training I ever had.
Oh, wow.
And the guy called it FBI, features, benefits, and then impact. How will it impact your life in the future? Like, for instance, I started selling cars when power windows and air conditioning was an option. I mean, of course, now they're in. I don't think you can buy a car that has crank down windows anymore. And right? Remember when phones, like one of the options of a phone was, do you want the camera on the phone or just a phone without a camera?
I remember when phones used to look like this. Yeah, hello, and you thought you were, man, I just got a cell phone. This is so cool. I'm not in my house. I'm on the phone. All right, hold on, I gotta go.
It's funny. It's so true. But I'll never forget that training where it talked about impact. How is the purchase of that product going to impact your life from that point, from the point of sale, moving forward? So let's talk about the Conference of Masculine Excellence from the FBI perspective. Let's talk about the features. What are some of the features? And I think some of the features of this conference are the speakers that are going to be there. So I'm going to mention the speakers that I'm aware of one by one, men that I know well and men that I've recently got to know. So Bulldog Mindset, also known as John Sonmez.
That's right.
Talk about John.
John is a man's man. And John is the reason why I wanted him to speak is because, and it's weird. I don't want to call him naive in this way, but I like the fact that he is naive he is naive about the fact that all men are not created equal. All men do not have the best interests at heart when it comes to other men. John is the quintessential example of a man who lives by the masculine code. This isn't to say that he's a bend over guy and I'm going to be nice to everybody, because he kind of gets a bad rep. Well, he won't take sides and he won't go after anybody, blah, 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 blah. That's not John at all. John is a masculine individual. And if he has a problem with someone, he is going to call them up rather than airing out their dirty. There are so many content creators in every sector of the web. We have men airing out everybody's like I remember the Derek Jackson situation more recently. Derek Jackson got caught cheating. The only reason why we knew he got caught cheating is because his former best friend leaked that information. If there's a disagreement about anything philosophically, theoretically, have the conversation behind closed doors. John is on autopilot with that. It has never occurred to him that men don't act like him. And because of that, because of this naivety, he's got to be at the conference, because he can only speak from a position of true masculinity. He has no idea. He has no idea what it's like to act like a woman, because that's never been who he is. Plus, his physical transformation it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I saw a picture of him back before he looked like he does now, and you can't even believe it's the same person. So that's the reason he is 100% got to come, man. He's really going to offer a lot of value.
Yeah. I like John. I've had him on the channel. My audience knows him. He is a kind man. He's gentle spoken. You don't expect a man that looks like that to be as gentle and kind as he is. And it's
holy moly.
Nice.
I would never get, I mean, I'm not afraid of a lot of people. But I'll tell you what, man, I would never, ever want to get into a wrestling match with that dude. He'd probably snap me in two. Dude, and I'm freaking 6'2", freaking 230. That dude would snap me in two. I think his arms are about the size of my thighs, man. The guy's ripped. It's incredible.
Coach Greg Adams.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, Coach Greg Adams, man. He is the, and I actually got word at another event he spoke at. I have it on good authority. He stole the show. I heard that he was the best on-stage presence of the entire event. Coach Greg Adams is someone who he's gotten better over time. I watch his live streams, and he is so quick-witted. He is so good. It's almost like he's a red pill encyclopedia, but he also has a red pill glossary. 49ers, monkey double backflips, buzzer beaters, 304s. He is it's a lot of fun to watch him. But Coach Greg Adams promotes the free agent lifestyle. CGA, he is as masculine as it gets, man. And I feel privileged to be able to have access to guys like him. And I think a lot of guys are going to be surprised when they see him on the stage. I've never seen him speak on stage before, but again, I'm told that he is really, really good. And his message is for everybody, 100%.
He is. And on top of that, knowing him personally, what a good guy. Truly a good guy. You know, it's so funny. A lot of guys become somebody else as soon as they press record.
Yeah.
Coach Greg is very congruent. Man that you see on YouTube and at events, that's the same guy. He is exactly what you see. Yeah. Hotep Jesus.
Oh, Hotep Jesus, man. I feel very privileged to have this guy. So Hotep Jesus, aka Brian Sharpe, he is an entrepreneur, and he currently has 4 tech startup companies that he is working on. And I don't know what they're all called. I know one is called Coinbits app. It's where he could explain it a lot better than I could. He also has, and he's developing an app called Gifitize, where you can take video, I think, off of Twitter. Don't quote me on this. He'll probably correct me, but he can take video off Twitter and make it an automatic GIF or whatever they call it. The guy is a mental Svengali. His intelligence level, it's almost scary. And it's sometimes it can be very intimidating to talk to a guy like that, because you know that he's probably thinking on another level, obviously from who you are. But he's a really good guy. His track record is unbelievable. He worked for 50 Cent, I think, for 1.5 years, 2 years. He's been on the Joe Rogan show. He's been on the Fox News channel. He's made network television appearances. He did an interview with Jason Whitlock, who used to work for Fox Sports 1. So the clout and the credibility, the intelligence level, and of course the entrepreneurial spirit he brings, that's going to be a great benefit, man. I feel very, very lucky to have been able to, get him to come out, because I think he's going to be a real benefit.
He's a very kind, gentle guy. He's not a in a room full of people. He's not the guy attracting all the attention to himself. He's having quiet one-to-one conversations with people, and he's a real gentleman. So I don't know if I just blew his cover, but I find him to be just a great guy. Let me tell you my experience with Myron Gaines.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I watched him on various shows. He was, part of a panel and such. And when I met him in person, I think he's the tallest guy out of the whole bunch of people. And he had this really killer leather jacket on. And it was very impressive. And it was kind of like this distressed leather and had this great stitching on it. And I love leather jackets. And I said to him, I said, "Hey, Myron, that is a great leather jacket." He lit at that moment, he took it off. "Here, try it on."
Wow.
Like, right here, try it on. And I thought, these guys are way too nice. These guys are way too nice. So tell me about Myron.
Myron, man, he is an up and coming content creator. He actually is in the middle of blowing up now. I think him and Fresh Prince CEO just crossed 80,000 subscribers. They might even be closing in on 90. I said 3 months ago, I said, you guys are going to, they had almost 20,000 subscribers. I said, you guys are going to pass me this year. And lo and behold, they are. Myron Gaines he's the youngest. I think it's either him or Zach, but I'm pretty sure that he is the youngest speaker that we are going to have here. What resonates with Myron, as far as I'm concerned, is he's a younger version of myself. Right now, he's way ahead of where I was when I was his age in terms of content creation. What with the studio he's built, the following he's acquired. But Myron he is as genuine as they come, and his knowledge about the true nature of women is second to none. And the reason why he is so razor sharp about what it's like to deal with today's women in 2021 is because he still does. He still runs. He is still dealing with young, attractive women on a regular basis, and he is doing it in Miami, which is one of the hardest places to deal with women from a sexual standpoint, because girls in Miami have all of these resources. There are so many men in Miami with money and Lamborghinis and yachts and all this other kind of stuff, and Myron is still able to sort of carve out his own kind of path with these women. He can still be successful with women. So when he speaks about this stuff, and it's so funny. Sometimes I'll watch his channel. I learn from him all the time. I'm like, this dude is unbelievable. Maybe it's because I've been out of the game for a few years, but the stuff, the one-liners and the paragraphs that come out of his mouth, everything makes sense. And the reason it makes sense is because he is out here currently living this. And Myron's niche now, and it's an unbelievable niche, is he goes out and he gets these girls on these, in Miami. I don't know how him and Fresh do this. They'll be 5, 6, 7 deep in a studio. And one by one, they are confirming red pill truth after red pill truth after red pill truth. It is nothing but red pill confirmations on his show. We're hearing it straight from a young, attractive women. What we've been talking about all these years, Myron is putting this on display for us in real time. You better believe he adds value to what we're doing.
I like that. I like to say that he knows a lot, but he's not a know-it-all. One thing I've learned about him is that he's open to learning.
Yes.
And I love that about him. He's hungry for more truth all the time. He didn't stop learning. So that's pretty cool. I admire his humility, because he's having all kinds of success, but he's never going to be the guy to say, well, hell, I can do this on my own now. Nah, man, he hits me up all the time. Hey, what should I do in this situation? How should I address that? What do I need to do to improve the quality of my shows and so forth? So yeah, even though he's having massive success and will have big success in the future, he's never going to be the guy who acts like he knows everything. And I think that's going to serve him well into the future. One thing I have to say about all of the men that you've chosen to speak at this conference is they're all kind of giants on their own, but they're also great team players. There's not this weird independent spirit that keeps them aloof. When we were all together in Vegas, everybody was just interacting so freely. There wasn't one person that was standoffish and aloof. I'm better than you, or I have more of a following than you. Everybody respected one another. And that was kind of cool.
That to me, that's essential, right? And I think I think there is something to be said about the speakers getting along. Is it necessary? Not really, but it really helps, man. When speakers and content creators actually like each other and they sit down and they have conversations, we're smoking cigars, we're eating together, I think that improves the quality not only of the relationship as a whole. I think it improves the quality of the conference, because the outside world, guys who come to this conference, they need to see that yes, we are comrades, we are brothers in arms, man. Like we're in this together. If that now, listen, obviously there's some personalities that don't really jive with other personalities. That doesn't seem really to be the case with any of us, and we are all very different. Like all of us are just very, very different people. But when you're united by a singular cause, it's amazing how some of the differences can just be sort of not even swept to the side. They just become non-factors. And I agree with you, man. When we all hung out in Vegas, that was great. We're all laughing, telling jokes, all kinds of stuff. And I think that really, really helps. I really do.
Yeah, there was a unity that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
All right, Zach Small.
Oh, Zach Small. I still have him in my phone as Hunter Drew. I need to change that. But yeah, Zach Small is he actually should be a motivational speaker, man, because and obviously he's a shorter guy. He has better posture than me. Like when I look at him on camera and in pictures, like I don't know, he has like this bravado about him. Zach is an excellent speaker, very, very good, very motivational. After you listen to guys like him and Ivan Throne, when guys like that speak, Elliot Hulse, when guys like that speak, it makes you want to, run through a brick wall. He is very, very motivational, and you know that he believes what he is saying just by his mannerisms, his body language, his voice inflections. Zach is I think he's probably one of the most important guys that we have coming to the conference that's going to talk about family. Every time I talk to Zach on the phone, the first thing he talks about is to say, yeah, my kid struck out, 15 batters, yesterday. And he is proud to be a father. And to me, he is the embodiment of the masculine head of household. Listen, I don't want to have a family. That's never been what I'm going to do. But I think it is hyper important for guys like Zach to be on the speaker list, because a lot of guys come and do have families, and they need to know how to navigate their families, especially in this world. So I'm glad Zach is a part of this, man.
That's true. Phil Foster.
Phil Foster, it's interesting. I didn't really know that much about him until after I invited him to the conference. I mean, I knew of him. I knew of his work. And I also knew that Phil Foster is freaking ripped. Like that dude is rock solid. And so we had a conversation when we were in Vegas, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm on, dude, human growth hormone, testosterone replacement therapy, all of which are acquired legally by your doctor. And he's all about optimizing body composition as an older man. And Phil is probably a few years older than I am. I'm 43. I think Phil is probably 47, 48. I guess I'll have to check on that.
I think he is.
Yeah, I think he's right around the area, but he looks fantastic. There are so many men who are of a certain age in their 40s. They're still in decent shape, but they can't whip themselves into shape like they were back in their 20s. You'd be surprised, George. There are so many men. I would actually say 50%, 1 out of every 2 men walking around this country have no idea that if they get on testosterone or HGH, you will completely change your life in every way, shape, or form. It is quite literally the fountain of youth. We're going to have attendees who are just a little bit out of shape. They're going to listen to Phil Foster, and the world is going to change. They're going to be like, wait a minute, are you telling me that there's a substance I can take that will keep my bones dense, that will keep the fat off, that will help me to increase my muscle, make me more sexually like, sign me up. So I think Phil is going to open a lot of people's eyes in terms of the way he got to where he got in terms of his physicality. And I think I think a lot of guys who were unaware of it before, they're going to certainly be aware of it now. When a man has that kind of hope, man, you mean I can acquire the body that I had when I was 25 years old? That's going to really inspire a lot of people, man. It really is.
Yeah. I find Phil to be a really good guy, just a genuinely good guy. He's congruent. He is kind, very kind. And I'm getting this from everybody. There's guys that are real energetic on stage. People, like when Zach gets on stage,
man,
wow,
yeah, incredible. We both watched him speak, man.
He's a very kind person, and I don't want to get. A lot of people confuse kindness with weakness, and that's not the case. Kindness does not mean weak at all.
No. No, that's not the case with any of our speakers. And
Yeah.
one thing that I love about the speaker lineup, we're all congruent. We're all the same guys on camera as we are off camera. If you listen to a conversation I'm having with Devin or you or Myron or anybody, I mean, there's no, wait a minute, Donovan, really? No, like we really are who we say we are. We are the same
Yeah.
guys on the camera. I think that's very important.
Yeah. Terrence Popp.
Oh, wow. Terrence, man. Terrence is he is going to discuss suicide, man. And the reason I invited Pop to speak, he was actually Aaron Clary was the first guy on my list. I knew I wanted to get him. I secured him. Pop was number 2. And the reason why is because Terrence comes at this from obviously he's an ex-Army Ranger. I think he served something like 30 years in the military. Don't quote me on that. But definitely military. He is very, very aware of all of the issues that veterans have. He really comes from that perspective. Terrence Popp has PTSD, obviously, because he was in the military for such a long time, went through a bad divorce with his now ex-wife and his daughters and everything like that. But he also struggles a little bit with depression. And he's very open about that.
And he's not afraid to talk about that, is he?
No, he's not afraid to talk about it at all. And I think his willingness to be open about his depression and his PTSD, I think that makes him endearing, that makes him relatable, and it makes him identifiable, because a lot of men struggle, especially veterans, they struggle a lot with PTSD and depression, especially military veterans. That leads to suicide, man. And so Terrence, the reason why I invited Terrence, I already knew what he was going to talk about before I even invited him. The reason why Terrence is important is he's going to be the guy to say, hey, listen, man, I hear you. I know what you're going through. We can help. There are a lot more guys like Terrence Popp living among us than we even realize. And they don't say a lot because Terrence is not now Terrence on the camera, he's zany, but that's his remedy. He deals with his depression and his PTSD with comedy. And I think a lot of guys respect and like him for that. I'm glad that he's going to be there for sure.
Yeah. Well, next is a guy that I didn't know who he was. Many people have said to me, have you heard of Better Bachelor? And I said, no, I'm not. I don't know who he is. And they say he calls himself Joker. And I said, I have no clue. So, but because I heard he's going to be part of the speaker lineup, and because I'm going to be interviewing him, I thought, well, I better kind of catch up on what he's all about. And wow, do I like the guy. I really like the guy. Tell us about Joker.
Joker is a fascinating individual. He has lived, is living, and will live the quintessential man on his own life. This guy traveled around the world. He blogged about it. He went to like 30 or 40 countries. Dude, he ate food. He saw sights. He had fun with women. Then he came back to the States and decided to blog about it. He did one video about, something about 30-year-old women in the dating market, and the rest is history. Everything took off for him. So now he travels the country in a bus that he outfitted to be literally an RV. Him and his dog travel around the country. He's actually planning, I think shortly after the conference, he's gonna park his bus back at his place. He's gonna take his dog to his mother's house or to his parents' house. He's gonna go on another 18-month, around the world hiatus. He has lived a fascinating, very interesting life. And his wisdom about women, because he has experienced women worldwide, is invaluable. He has a huge following. Everybody has nothing but respect for the guy. And he's lived the most interesting. He's probably the most interesting man in the world, to be honest with you. He really is.
Yeah. Aaron Clary. Tell me about Aaron Clary.
Aaron is the guy that I'm glad. He's the guy that I'm glad that I got the most. And the reason for that, man, is Aaron's probably the smartest person I know. I know a lot of smart people. Aaron is head and shoulders above that. And, a lot of people don't know this about Aaron Clary. The guy came from very, very, very humble beginnings. And to go from where he was to where he is now, to me, it's incredible. And he has a degree in economics. All of his books, Bachelor Pad Economics, The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty, the book of Numbers, which is the book of Numbers, that book is incredible. What he did is he financially quantifies the cost of pursuing women down to the nano penny. Like the things that this guy, the curse of the high IQ, Aaron is he's not an enigma, but the way his mind works to me is incredible. And I think one of the thing that can sink a man's life the quickest is getting involved with the wrong woman. Having a children with the wrong woman or women, that will sink your life. A very close second is making bad financial decisions constantly. Aaron Clary is the guy that puts in layman's terms, hey, this is why you're broke. This is why you don't have any savings. And this is why you're going to work until you're 85. You're not going to be able to retire until you actually die. His presence to me is absolutely important because I think in a lot of these men's conferences, they tend to overlook financial shrewdness. This is why I'm glad he's there.
Texas Dom. Tell me about Texas Dom.
Now, Tex is a guy I've actually met and talked to several times at another event, and he and I, we hit it off, man. We have actually a lot more in common than you would actually think. But Texas Dom he lives the Dom sub lifestyle with his wife, and a lot of guys are very curious about the Dom sub relationship. And one thing that Tex is very adamant about is that it's not just two people dressed up in leather with whips and chains. It's a lot more than that. And I think one time he told me the Dom sub lifestyle, it's like 90% mental and 10% physical. Concurrently, the Dom sub lifestyle has red pill connotations throughout. You're the leader, she's the follower. You're dominant, she's submissive. You set the agenda, you make the rules. Everything is as you say it. I think a lot of guys could learn a lot about the Dom sub lifestyle. Not that they would ever want to get into that, but if you had someone speak about it or read some of the mental concepts with regards to what makes a successful Dom sub relationship, you will quickly see that that's what makes a successful relationship, period. So what Tex is going to do is he is going to marry the two worlds, the average relationship, as it were, as compared to the Dom sub relationship. Physically, it might not be like a Dom sub relationship, but mentally, you can apply those same principles in every relationship that you have with women. So I'm glad that he's agreed to come and speak.
Yeah, I like that. He has become a friend over the years, and I definitely appreciate his message. And whether he knows it or not, I have actually applied some of his principles in my personal life as well.
Good. Absolutely.
So,
it has great utility. It really does. And it doesn't just work with women. It works really in all aspects of life, surprisingly.
It sure does.
Yeah.
It sure does. What are the mechanics? Let's talk about the conference itself. What are the mechanics of starting your first conference? I believe this is your first, right? The first one you've done?
First. The mechanics. Number one, you got to have money. You absolutely have to have money. The venue that I have locked down, it is not cheap, but it is absolutely positively going to be worth it. Some of the other mechanics that are involved, and the most important element about starting something like this is relationships. It's more important than money because you can have money. If you don't have relationships, you're not going to have any speakers. It is very, very, very important to build rock solid, long lasting relationships. And I started doing that, I would say about a year ago when I built another studio one-on-one with Donovan Sharpe. I flew guys in, we did a show, we broke bread. And it was never my intention to do that for the explicit purpose of inviting them to a conference. I just wanted to sit down and talk to these guys face to face and have a steak and a beer with these guys and just kind of talk shop. But when you form relationships like this, it makes getting speakers very easy. There are a lot of moving parts to this. And anyone who starts a conference or a men's convention, whatever the case may be, usually the most challenging part is getting guys to agree to come and speak. This was not an issue for me. So what should have been very difficult, fortunately for me, was very easy. Obviously, scheduling, the technology involved, those are the mechanics. So money, relationships, scheduling, itinerary, that's involved. Then, of course, there are other people outside of your speakers. You have to have staff. You got to have a production guy. You got to have a camera guy, a photographer. It is a lot. It's not harder than I expected. I fully expected it to take up a lot of my time. I've actually enjoyed the process, but there are a lot of moving parts. And fortunately for me, I have most of those moving parts locked down. So again, full steam ahead. It hasn't been easy, but it's definitely been enjoyable.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that you do have to have money from the get-go. You can't plan something and then cross your fingers hoping that the money's going to come in. So you have
Nope.
to have a critical mass of capital
Yeah.
already put out there. So that's something that people who say, I think I'll start a conference, they have no idea what it's going to involve.
Oh my goodness. It involves so much. I've had to do multiple site visits. I had to fly out to I've had to fly before I locked down the venue that I locked down now. I had to fly out to Vegas 2 or 3 times to do site visits because they're not all available at the same time. You can do virtual tours, but that doesn't really give you the full picture.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot and there's a lot of due diligence you have to do. Some venues are more adept at holding conferences and conventions than others. And so one venue might look great, but then you get there, you can see that they're not really organized. They don't really have the right infrastructure to handle something like this. So a lot goes into this, man. That's for sure.
I will have to say this, that the venue that we were at about a month ago
Yep.
is the nicest hotel, and I have stayed in a
Incredible.
lot of hotels in my 60 something years. It is the nicest hotel that I've ever stayed in, and the staff are magnificent,
Love those guys.
absolutely flawless,
Those
flawless.
guys are awesome. Dude, they treated us like VIPs. It was
Yeah,
insane, man. It really was. It was a lot of
yeah, it
fun.
was amazing. So I want to talk to you about a couple things here. I was doing some research because I've been to conferences, seminars, week-long summits,
Sure.
symposiums, and I saw something that I agree with and I've added to it. 5 tips to maximize this conference. Number one, each man coming to this needs to perfect their introduction because you're going to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I like to say, aim to be memorable because opportunities will magically present themselves to
Yes.
you. Many men will end up doing business with each other after this conference.
That's right. That's right.
Number two, dress sharp.
That's
It
right.
sends a signal of authority. Uh, it gives you respect. This is not, I mean, there are going to be some guys who've never been to conferences who will show up in jeans and sneakers and not to, uh, I'm not dissing them in any way, but I
Right.
challenge people who are going to attend just to bring it up a notch.
I agree, and
Uh,
and I'll say this: I have recently, very recently, stepped up my wardrobe game. I got a couple of really nice custom tailored 3-piece suits. I bought 3 or 4 jackets and blazers, some shirts. I have completely rearranged my wardrobe, and it is the way people treat me. It is like night and day. It is
yeah,
incredible. I've never been
yeah,
treated with such reverence and respect for people who have no idea who I am. No idea who I
yeah,
am because I'm dressed in a certain way, they automatically see me as an authority. It's something else. It really is.
yeah. And dressing better. I don't want to say dress well because not everyone,
Not
has
every
a tailor.
right.
But when you dress up just a little bit, when you elevate your look, you show respect for others
That's
when you
right.
do that and
Right.
for yourself.
No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I like that. You show respect for others as well. It's almost like you're putting your best foot forward. So that makes all the sense in the world.
Exactly. Number three, I always tell this to guys who are going to conferences. I used to share this when I was traveling for a living. Write down a packing list because you don't want to have to spend $30 on an item that you already have.
Man, oh man, yeah. Listen. I let Dev handle all of that because I forget stuff all the time. Thank God I've got her because I'd probably forget my suits if
Yeah.
she didn't remind me. That's for sure.
Number four, research people online and personally.
Yep.
Know who you're going to be speaking to. Know a little bit about their background and also be ready to share a little bit about yourself.
There you
So
go.
conferences they're not just one way speaking. It's a
Right.
two-way thing. You're sharing as much as you are receiving. And then
Sharing it
five,
too.
I always like to tell people if they can, if it's possible, arrive a day early just to acclimate. If you're
Hmm.
dealing with jet lag, uh, get outside, take a walk. It's difficult to arrive at the airport, rush around, grab a cab or an Uber to the hotel, and then you have to be in a meeting room in 1 hour. It's nice to be able to just relax, get a good night's sleep, because when it starts, you want to be awake, you want to be alert, You want to be ready to network. You don't want to use the first day to kind of sleep off the travel. So I
Right.
like the idea of guys just taking the bull by the horns and maybe arriving a day early.
That's good advice.
And that's on them. That's a smart
That
way
way.
to operate.
I've never thought of it that way. Now I'm going to be there a week early, just getting everything set up. But I had never considered, if you're going to a conference or an event, to show up a day early, because that makes all the sense in the world, man. Like, you sleep off the jet lag, sort of get a lay of the land. That way, when
Yes.
the conference does start, you kind of hit the ground running. You don't have all these unanswered questions in your head.
Yeah. Conferences are great for building networks,
Yes.
alliances, uh, your own communication skills.
Yep.
And some people say, why attend a conference if you can get everything that's going to be spoken about on YouTube?
Right.
That is not the case. The main reason for conferences, specifically for CME, number one, is to network.
Absolutely.
Network. You need to bring your business cards or means of somebody communicating with you. Number
Yes.
two, it's to expand your knowledge and find solutions to problems. You're not going to come to these conclusions just by watching a YouTube video. Accountability to people.
Yes. That's a
That
big
is
one.
so huge. I am
That's
about to throw the gauntlet down with a gentleman that I know, Michael Foster. He wants to lose some weight. I need
okay.
to lose a few pounds. And he was casually talking about it. But I want to bet him. I want to
Oh,
make him accountable, and I want to make me accountable. And for a while there, we were just sending videos back and forth, while we were doing he was walking in Ohio, I'm walking in Pennsylvania.
right. Right.
But I want to make this real. Like, how much do you weigh? And what do you want to get down to? This is how
Okay.
much I currently weigh. This is what I want to get down to. And I want to forge an accountability, not casually. I want to nail it down. And
Yeah.
I think at conferences, accountable relationships are made. And that's where changes are made. And you don't do that by just watching a YouTube video.
No. And this is why Zach is there, because Zach will take attendees to the side and say, hey, listen, man, don't just let what I've told you go in one ear and out the other. Here's my
Yes.
phone number. Here's my email. You need to keep me abreast of your progress, because if you start to fall off, I'm going to hold you accountable. I think that is very, very important, man. Personal accountability to other people.
And the third reason why to attend a conference is to present your ideas and your work to others as
There you
a
go.
sounding board. It's interacting with speakers and other attendees, and it's good training for you if you want to present in the future. Many times people in your audience could end up being future workshop
That's right.
presenters or be on the stage in the future. And attending a conference is a great way to get your name out there if you are an attendee.
Hmm.
So I like to think that attending a conference enhances your professional and personal development.
I agree. And it's interesting just planning this whole thing. I mean, I've attended conferences and events for, my whole life. And the number one, obviously you want to get there. The reason you're going is to get the knowledge, but networking is always in the background. You want to shake hands, exchange business cards, talk about certain ideas that you have. This conference is no different. Yes, you're coming there to get the knowledge. You're going to learn things that you hadn't otherwise learned, but you're at a conference with like-minded men. You're going to be in a place where there are like-minded men who may have a skill that you are in need of, or you may need a skill that somebody else has, right? And so I think being able to network, again, dressing appropriately, things of that nature. I think other than the knowledge that you get from the speakers, I think the attendees could probably gain from the attendees as well. I think that is very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know one of the things that I plan on doing is I'm a huge believer in impact, the features, the
Yeah.
benefits, and then the
Oh, yeah.
impact.
Yep.
Impact happens like this. I will identify a few people, or they will be drawn to me.
Okay.
And then I like to find out, like when I have emceed events, when I have hosted events in Philadelphia in my professional life, when I meet people, one of the big questions that I always ask them is, who do you need to meet?
Hmm.
And that right there has opened up doors. And if there's somebody at that business networking event that I know of that they need to meet, I bring the two together and I make the introduction.
There you go.
That's something that I have done for years, and it has worked really well for me. But
And
my
that's
thoughts are this. each one of the speakers, including myself, identify men who need accountability. This is where the impact comes in.
Okay.
And pick one person and follow up with them.
Okay.
In other words, the CME is not just a trip to Disneyland. A
Right.
CME event is something that can last for a year as far as accountability. So
Right.
I plan on identifying 1, 2, or maybe 3 guys, depending
Okay.
on my ability to be able to follow up on them. And I want to follow up with them a week after. Hey, how you doing? What's going
Okay.
on?
Okay.
Are you applying anything that you learned? 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, and then let's talk about your attendance at the next CME. And
Wow.
I will hold them accountable, because at the last CME, you told me you wanted to drop 20 pounds.
Right.
And
That's right.
without that accountability, they might not do it. So I like the idea of forging accountability. That's where the impact
Yeah,
of
man.
conferences is all about. That doesn't happen when you just watch a YouTube show.
Open list. Right. 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 100%, 100% agreement. And it's like I told you when I was talking about Zach, what will happen in most cases, most men will show up and things are great. You have a fantastic time. You smoke cigars. I've set my goals. I'm going to do A, B, C. Then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Then as soon as they get on the plane back home, they're still excited, but then they get back home and they continue to live the life that they've lived. I think picking 2 or 3, maybe even 4 guys to follow up with a week, a month, 3 months after, and letting them know, hey, I'm going to call you in a week. I'm going to talk to you in a month to see where you are with compared to where you want to be. And I think that, and it's just like the thing with you and Michael Foster, I think that can have the impact, pardon me, on the attendees. If they know that they're going to be held accountable by people they admire, they're going to be a little bit more motivated to get off their ass and change their lives. Obviously, they shouldn't need that, right? But you need at least a little bit of a push. So if you know, man, Donovan Sharpe is calling me in 3 days, listen, I need to have a progress report. And if I don't have a progress report, it's not going to be a very fun conversation. This is how men thrive. This is how men impact each other's lives.
Yeah. I had a chat with Michael Foster last night via Marco Polo, and he showed me he had this treadmill, in 100 pieces on the floor. Treadmills don't come looking like treadmills. They're basically 1,000-piece puzzles that you have to put together. And I'm going to hold his feet to the fire. And I was sending him videos. One of my favorite YouTube guys is a natural bodybuilder, and his method of cutting before competition is treadmill work. So I sent Michael those videos on dropping weight and cutting and so forth. But Michael shared with me about his treadmill. If he thinks that I'm going to let him get away with just using that as a clothes rack, he's got another thing coming.
Oh my God.
Because I expect my telephone calls with him to be while he's on that treadmill.
Hey, yeah, I'm on the treadmill.
Absolutely. So I think accountability is what makes the impact. It might be a 3-day conference, but it has a year-long impact. I think it's, like I said, it's not just a 3-day Disney vacation. It's 3 days that are just the beginning of a man's metamorphosis that will last a year until the next conference or whenever that will be. And I expect to see changes and improvement in those men the next time I see them. And that's the iron sharpens iron thing, I believe.
Yeah. I agree 100%. The impact that this conference has the potential to change a man's life. There are going to be a lot of men who attend this who look at this as this was the point. This was the point when my life changed. Maybe somebody starts a business, maybe someone drops weight, maybe someone, goes on to do amazing things. Years and years later down the line, people are going to say, "Man, Mike, you're kicking life's ass. Everything is great." Like, how did it happen? You know what, man? 5 years ago, I sort of took a flyer on this small conference, the CME, the Conference of Masculine Excellence, and it changed everything for me. I attended it 2 or 3 times, and this is where I'm at now. I want men to look at this conference as the jumping off point in their memory, in terms of their lives. Everything I want them to categorize their life as everything that happened before the conference and everything that happened after it. And I really do believe that this conference can have that kind of impact with the lineup of speakers that we have, and also the accountability that we're also going to create. I really, really do believe it could impact a lot of lives, and that obviously is the intention.
Magnificent. Tell us when the conference is.
Yeah, so the conference is going to be from Friday, June 4th of 2021 until Sunday, June 6th of 2021. It's going to start on Friday. It's going to end on Sunday. Night number one, the conference doesn't officially start until 6 o'clock on Friday night. So from 6 to 8, we'll have our speaker introductions. You, of course, George, will give the introductory speech. Then you will introduce the speakers one by one. I will then address the crowd, do my follow-up speech. When we're done with that, we're going to a parlor for the VIP meet and greet. That's going to last from 8:30 until 10:30. We're going to have it catered. We're going to have a bar. We're going to have drinks. Guys are going to be able to shake hands, smoke cigars out on the porch, take pictures with guys, have conversations. This is where the networking can really start. The very next day at 8 o'clock, bright and early at 8 o'clock, that's when our speaker lineup starts. All day long, we're going to have speakers one after the other. There will obviously be 15-minute breaks in between to just kind of give guys a break. Breakfast is going to be served right there in the auditorium. You grab your breakfast, you have a seat, and you start taking down notes. We're going to break for lunch at maybe between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. Then we pick right back up. Speeches will end for Saturday at between 5:30 and 6. At 8 o'clock on Saturday night, we are having the Feast of Champions. This is going to be a banquet-style 5-course buffet. Fantastic cuisine. Everybody's going to be there. All of the speakers, all of the attendees are going to be at the Feast of Champions. We're going to eat, drink, be merry. We're going to talk. We're going to network. We're going to have conversations. The very next day, Sunday, that's the last day of the conference. 8 o'clock in the morning again. Breakfast is served. That's on me. Speeches until I would say maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock. Then we do a live taping of the 6. We're probably going to stream that live. That, of course, is the 6-man panel show that I host on my channel every Sunday evening at 8:30. After that, I give my farewell speech, and everybody's lives are changed. So I'm very, very much looking forward to sort of pulling this thing off. The next conference, whenever I plan that to be, that one is going to include workshops, because I think there are a lot of guys who are not really, their niches or what they can teach you they don't really have utility on the stage, maybe in a more intimate classroom setting. I think a lot of guys could benefit from that. But in a nutshell, that's what the CME is, man.
Let's get practical for a second here. When will guys have to pull their own wallet out? What will they be after they purchase the ticket? They got to buy their plane ticket. They have to purchase the ticket to the conference. When do they pull their own wallet out during that weekend?
The only time they are going to be required to pull their wallet out is lunchtime. The very first time they'll have to do it is lunchtime on Saturday. That's it. Because if you're if you're one of the first, let me see. Obviously, if you're a VIP, your room is covered. The first 50 attendees outside of the VIPs get your room covered. So if you are one of the first 75 people to purchase a ticket, the very first time you ever have to pull out your wallet is at lunchtime. And the time after that is lunchtime on Sunday. All you have to do, if you're one of the first 75 attendees, if you're one of the first 75 men to purchase your ticket, all you got to do is get here, buy a couple of lunches. We've got your breakfast covered. We've got the Feast of Champions dinner covered. We've got you all covered, man. And that's what I really wanted this to be. I know that there are people who have financial restraints, and let's be clear. The cost of the ticket is not cheap. But obviously I have expenses that I need to cover. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that I give guys a benefit. To not have to book your own hotel room, to not have to pull out your credit card to be escorted up to your up to your luxury room, that has an impact. I think that takes a lot of sort of pressure off of people financially. So when you purchase it, the very first time you ever have to pull out your wallet is at lunchtime the very next day. So yeah, it's not it's very, 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 very cost effective in that regard.
I like that. Now they fly into Vegas, and I believe the venue is about 20 minutes outside of Vegas, outside the Strip. So it's not all the commotion. You're not with all the high rollers and gamblers right then and there. You have to take a cab or an Uber. And I found that the an Uber ride is about 1/3 to 1/4 of the price of a cab to
Yeah.
get from the airport to the venue. And
Yep.
there's plenty of Uber drivers ready to pick you up. I
That's
found
right.
that to be true. So people need to download the Lyft or the Uber app
Yes.
that I find to be super convenient. And then the hotel, their names will be already in the
Yep.
computer there.
Right. Names are going to be already in the computer. Registration is going to be super easy. You're going to get a QR code. And by the way, everything that people will need to know about the event after they purchase their ticket is going to be on the CME mobile app.
Okay.
Your check-in is on the mobile app. You present when you come to the registration desk. You present your phone with your QR code. Whoop, we scan it. Then you get a lanyard, obviously with your name and a picture of you to verify your identity and that you're supposed to be there. A map of the venue is also in the mobile app. You can you can have conversations with other attendees in the mobile app. You can request to speak with the speakers on the mobile app. You can watch the live stream of the conference on the mobile app if you happen to be up in your hotel room while speeches are going on. The mobile app is going to be so intuitive. And obviously there are a lot of moving parts and a lot of information that has to be dispersed. If there is anything we feel like you need to know, you will get a push notification on your mobile app. So for example, hey,
Nice.
Coach Greg Adams is going to be on stage in 5 minutes. Get down here. Boom. Oh, wow. Coach Greg Adams is getting ready to be on stage. Let me get down there. Wait, where is it? Oh, there's the map. So the mobile app is really a game changer. We're using state-of-the-art technology to keep everything
Yeah.
completely organized and streamlined. That's one of the most impressive things I think we're doing with this.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. Are
Oh
there
yeah.
any buddy discounts? What if two friends? Is there anything like that going on?
Yeah, absolutely. If you purchase if you and a friend want to come to the CME, we have a buy one get one half off ticket. So you buy one ticket, you get the second one at half off. So if you buy one, you get the second one half off, or maybe your friend pays full price, maybe you pay half price. Either way, there is a substantial discount for buying two tickets at the same time. So if there's a
I
buddy
like
that you
that.
bring, then yeah, you guys can both go in on it, save yourself a little cash, and let the good times roll, man.
That's great. That really does significantly bring the price down for both people. It really does. For those that are more cost conscious. Um,
Absolutely.
how
Absolutely.
about uh, obviously it's not for women, but if a man wanted to come out with his wife or girlfriend while he is at the conference during the day, she could be sightseeing, out hiking,
Yeah.
uh, doing that kind of stuff because it really is a top notch facility. I mean, the hotel is like honeymoon kind of stuff.
It's
It's
really nice. It's
magnificent.
it's a great venue. It is I'm telling you, man, that's one thing that the attendees are going to be impressed by. They are going to be blown. You guys are going to be blown away by this venue. It is spectacular in every sense of the word. And this isn't to say that other conferences or conventions or events, listen, man, a lot of times they try to be a little bit more cost effective. That wasn't my intent here, man. I want to give people their money's worth. This is why I included the room with the first 75 people who
Yeah.
purchased a ticket. Obviously, the first 25 being the VIP tickets, and then the standard tickets, including the room for the first 50. I want people to walk inside and be like, wow, then get to your room and be like, oh my God, I've never stayed at a place. I'm telling you right now, most men who come to this conference have never ever stayed at a hotel as nice as this. I can promise you that. I
Yeah.
can promise you that.
Yeah. I never have. I thought it was absolutely top notch. The room service was amazing. It
Oh,
really is kind of like the Lexus of
yeah.
hotels. And
Yep.
well, it's actually considered a resort. There's people
Yep.
that go there on their vacation. So this is not just a place to lay your head. It is a place with a lot of activity. So a wife or girlfriend, if somebody wanted to do that, have a long weekend with their
You
partner, they could actually do that.
you never have to. Every time I go to, and I've been to this place several times, we never leave the venue. We never leave the building. We're there the entire time. The only time I left the building is to maybe do a little bit of shopping, but you can do shopping in the building. So
Yeah.
it really there's nothing cheap about this. This is 100% a top-notch world-class facility. And I think a lot of guys are going to be blown away. You want to impress your friends with where you are? Trust me, you're going to do that. You're going to do that right when you walk in the door. That's for sure.
Yeah, and there's many restaurants. I forgot how many restaurants are
Oh,
at this facility. I mean, if a
yeah.
guy wants to come with his wife or girlfriend a day ahead of time, go have a steak dinner, have a romantic dinner. Everything from a high-end steakhouse to like a taco place. I mean, there's something for everybody.
100%, man. It's a great facility, and there were I was actually considering three or four. That one stood out above, head and shoulders above the rest.
Great choice. And then also too, for any photography fans, the scenery in the area is
It's
breathtaking.
incredible.
When you look out your window,
Oh
you
my
are
god.
not going to believe what you see. And the way the position of the sun at any
Yes,
given time of the day illuminates the scenery in such
it's
a way where it's breathtaking,
oh my god.
absolutely breathtaking.
It's incredible, man. You always, and it's weird, like if you can actually watch it's funny because you can sit there and watch the sky, especially when night is becoming day. You can sit there and slowly watch it sort of brighten up.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, the position, it's gonna be fantastic, man. I love the place that we picked. I really do.
I did some live streams from there at
Ah,
different points in the morning, and watching the beginning of the live stream
yeah,
to the end where the
yeah.
background completely 100% changed.
Oh
It
yeah.
looked like a movie set. It was just breathtaking. It truly was.
Oh yeah. Good stuff, man. Yeah, I love it there. I'm glad I selected them to host this for us. I really am.
Well, I wish I had a drink in my hand so I could toast you on a great first conference.
Yeah, man.
But I will just say it. Congratulations
Thank you.
on making this real. You took it from a thought,
Yep.
and like Earl Nightingale says, thoughts are things. They're
Yes.
not just this stuff floating around. When you act on what's here, it becomes tangible, it
That's right.
becomes real. And that's exactly what you did. So great job.
Thank you, man. It's to be at this point, man. We're now what, 6 weeks out, 6 or 7 weeks. I think we're 6 weeks out. It's amazing that we're at this point, man. But I'm excited. I'm actually starting to get anxious for it to get here. To me, there's just too much time left. But no, man. I'm glad that I was able to pull this off. Obviously, with the help of my speakers, guys like you, that has made this so much easier and more enjoyable for me. And I think that this could quite possibly be not only the jumping off point for a lot of men's lives. I believe that this has an opportunity. There are no guarantees, but this has a real chance, a real opportunity to become the Red Pill Summit. Because
Yeah.
again, there are a lot of men's conferences out there, but I don't know of any. I don't know of any, with the exception of maybe one or two, that have a red pill background. And that's what really changes men's lives, is when you understand what's really happening around you. It's just
Yeah.
like you said, and we're not there to hate women. We're not there to talk junk about women. We're not doing this PUA boot camp. We're letting you know, hey, listen, this is how women are. And if you want to deal with them, then this is what needs to be done. But it needs to be done. Nobody's saying that you have to pursue women. Nobody's saying that you have to give up on them. We're there to give you actionable advice. This isn't something that we just talk about. Each and every one of us lives the lives we talk about. And I think it's very important for men to see us in the flesh interacting with people and saying, okay, these guys are congruent and I want to live life like those guys do. How can I get there? And I think that's going to be the real impact. I think that we could probably maybe have maybe a 5 or 10 year run of maybe 2 conferences a year and change a lot of lives, man. I really do.
I have a respectable female audience who has brothers, who has
Right.
fathers, who have
Right.
boyfriends. Why would a woman want to urge her lover, husband, boyfriend, brother, father to come to this?
Oh wow, so many reasons, man. Um, a lot of women these days, they have fathers who were taken through the divorce mill by their mothers. Obviously, she loves her mother and her father, but especially women, they don't want to see their fathers suffer. They don't want to see him in this constant anguish. You send him to this conference, buy him whatever you have to do, just get him here. He's going to come back a new man. Obviously, sisters do not want to see their brother suffer. Sisters know how women move. Sisters know the difference between masculinity and fake masculinity. If you want your brother to have a happy life, you need to buy that guy a ticket. The women in our lives, they're not essential, but they are important. And a lot of women, dude, most women know men, just like you said, brothers, uncles, cousins, fathers. The men in their lives are suffering. And these women know why they're suffering. It's not like they're like, I can't believe. No, a lot of women are oblivious to what men go through today, but a lot of them are not. And when women see their loved ones sort of suffering because he doesn't really have any answers, these women would do anything to just maybe wake the guy up or give him. And I'm sure they sent him books, videos. None of that helps. Ladies, this is the solution you're looking for. When you send your male loved ones to this, he will come back a better. He will come back a completely changed person. Listen, you girlfriends out there, your boyfriend is going to come back more attractive. He's going to be motivated to stay in shape. He might even be motivated to start his business. Wives out there, you send your husband to the CME, he's going to come back more attractive. He's going to retake his place as the head of household. It doesn't matter who your male loved ones are. Sending him to this conference is going to do nothing but good for him. And it's also going to have a positive impact in your life as well.
Very well said. I've never heard of the conference, even of all the ones that I mentioned earlier, actually market something like this to women to help improve their men. Because let's get real, our women are influential. They're important in our lives. Many times, can you imagine a guy getting a gift, a birthday gift of a ticket to CME, or this year's Christmas gift is a ticket, and maybe she wants to come with him a day early. And I do actually encourage everyone to come a day or two early, just to kind of settle down. And then at the initial cocktail hour, the meet and greet on the first night, it'll be nice to meet everybody and put some context to people. And then the women can kind of do their own thing for a couple days and go sightseeing or shopping or do whatever they want while the men are enriching themselves.
Speaking of which, Devin is going to put together a ladies' lunch. All of the women, all of the ladies, the wives and the wives and girlfriends of speakers and attendees. She's going to put the announcement out there. Hey, ladies, we're all gonna get together. We're all gonna go to a restaurant or maybe up in our suite. They're gonna have a meal, eat salad, have a couple of cocktails, and just talk about what life is like, right? I think the ladies' lunch is probably going to be on Saturday, but yeah, Devin is organizing something just for the ladies, so stay tuned for that. Definitely stay tuned for that.
Love that. That's brilliant, and that's bringing everybody in together. I kind of like that. So you're not just strengthening men, you're strengthening relationships as well.
There you go, man. Oh my God. When you learn about the way to date, honestly, it's not really the way women are. Women have always been this way, but our current environment allows them to be this way. Our current environment with feminism brings out the very worst in women. And so when you figure out what's really going on, it can kind of make you angry. A lot of guys just kind of check out. But then there are guys who say, okay, well, I'm not going to commit to any one woman. I'm just going to be a player for life. I lived that life. And as much fun as I had living that life in Las Vegas, it would be disingenuous of me to say that as much fun as I had out in the 702, my life is better as a man in a relationship. There are pros and cons to both. But when there are a lot more pros to being in a committed relationship with a woman I trust and care about deeply than being a player out on the Vegas Strip. Don't get me wrong. It's exciting to meet the ladies and it's exciting to, have a little bit of fun with them. But there's pregnancy scares. There are possible STDs, something I was lucky enough to evade. I have no idea how I got that. You could actually have a kid. There's heartbreak involved. There are so many. Where was I last night? You have no idea what could happen. Again, very good time. But there are the risk nowadays far outweighs the reward. It's the same as cohabitating relationships. The risk outweighs the reward. You come to the Conference of Masculine Excellence, we teach you how to mitigate that risk so that your reward is higher than your risk. It's great to live the player life, but let's keep it real. Most men would easily tell you if they had to have a choice, which life would you want to live? The player life or be in a good relationship? Now, men who have lived the player life would say, well, yeah, I'd love to be in a good relationship. Men who have never lived the player life, they want to be able to experience that. But they're, dude, after you've gone through the blondes, brunettes, and redhead and fake, at some point you just grow up and you want to settle down. You want, as much fun as that is, we all have to grow up. And most men inherently, we are inherently designed to seek out relationships and companionships with women. And we're going to teach you how to do that successfully, healthily, and to mitigate that risk. 100%, man.
When you touch men, you touch their women. You touch the wife, you touch the girlfriend, you touch the children. When you touch men, you affect the community, you affect society. As men go, so goes society.
That's right.
A conversation with Mr. Donovan Sharpe. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in Vegas in about 6 weeks.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on your channel, man. I greatly appreciate it. And guys, get your CME tickets. George is going to put his affiliate link down in the chat. So if you want to purchase a CME ticket, go to masculineexcellence.com/George Bruno. Actually, I think we actually put your name in that. masculineexcellence.com/George Bruno.
That'd be great. Thank you, Donovan.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
You'll be living your good life. Catch a glimpse from the outside, then you see me now, see me now, see now. Don't need any timeline to prove that this is my life. I can see it now, see it now, see now. You'll be living your good life. Catch a glimpse of the outside, then you see me now, see me now, see me now. Don't need any timeline to prove that this is my life. I can see it now, see it now, see now. Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other. So far as the echo, where do we start? You can learn to discover a million stars. Here in the shadows, I know you're scared. Take my hand, together we'll make a stand. We've got to fight to find a way. Dare to fall to find out what to say. No more hate. Just admit that you're just afraid. Time to let